Welcome back, everybody, to Han Talks First. This is the Mando Talk Show, where we're going to discuss episode 15, The Believer of the Mandalorian. And hope you're all doing good today. As always, I'm joined by the co-host of the Mando Talk Show, Dean. What's up, buddy? How's it going? How's your channel doing so far?
It's been doing better than I thought it would for the first and only video that I've uploaded. Second video will be coming up soon. Actually close to finishing editing that today, actually.
Yeah, you should be proud of it. You've got more views on your first video than I got on mine, so you're already doing pretty well. And a lot of likes too, so it looks like people are going to like the content, which I'm excited about.
I've got some help from you also, so I do thank you for that.
Do you know what your next video might be? You don't have to share it if you don't want to, but you got ideas?
It'll be launching the PS5. That'll be the next video that we're uploading. I was lucky enough to get my hands on one of those.
People, yeah. I'm definitely going to enjoy that one. All right, so yeah, we're talking about Chapter 15 today. But before we do jump into it, I wanted to ask Dean about his thoughts on the huge, because we can't go without talking about the major announcements that were dropped. If you guys want to hear my thoughts, you can go check out the video that was posted 2 days ago about all the new Star Wars announcements that were made at Disney Investors Day. So, Dean, what did you think about all the stuff? What you most excited for? And I don't know, tell us what you thought.
I'm most excited for the Rogue Squadron movie with Pat Jenkins and.
Of course you are. Look at your jacket.
It's not even the movie that truly has me excited though. It's actually the name of it being Rogue Squadrons. I know that, at least I hope, everybody has at least played that series before back on, like, at least childhood, the Nintendo, whether it was whatever Nintendo system played it on. GameCube is where Factor 5, the developers of that game series, really revolutionized dogfighting in just video games. They revolutionized it. They added triggers on the GameCube controller. They were like no other. I originally played Rogue Squadron, the first one, on PC on my Windows 98 computer, and then I think I had it on 64 as well. But GameCube is where I fell in love with that game series. I'm just kind of hoping they use that to bring back the series. And then with all the other announcements, having Hayden Christensen back, it was just awesome day of announcements. And it kind of gave me, I had mixed feelings about some of the announcements because it was like, I know that we've shared my theories on here for a little bit. I felt like I was inside Dave Filoni's head, but it kind of struck everything that I thought was going to happen to Mando, which I'm not upset by because I'm glad that they're kind of making Mando its own little universe now. But when they announced the live action Ahsoka, I was like, I was on the right track. I was in your head, Filoni and Favreau, but I wasn't there, but I was pretty dang close. So
Right.
It's kind of nice. I kind of felt fulfilled, but I kind of felt disappointed because I was like, I was so close.
And yeah, to sum up for everybody, we have 10 new TV shows and 2 new movies announced, or not new, but just re-announced. And 2 of the new shows are going to be spin-offs of The Mandalorian, which was the Ahsoka one you're talking about and the Rangers one you were talking about. And I'm excited for both. And I'm not going to go into length. You guys can listen to the other episode I did on it, but I have a theory that all those 3 shows, while they're taking place in the same timeline, that they will kind of merge together towards each finales, and maybe we'll get a movie out of it. You know, that's what I would like to see come of it anyway.
Or it's going to directly tie into The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
And then kind of fulfill, what was it? The Aftermath. Just kind of lead into that book.
Yeah, definitely. All of it's great. I'm excited for it. Like I said, again, the podcast version of my thoughts on the announcements is coming out this Wednesday, and I discuss it at length. And the shorter version is on YouTube right now, so go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below.
Before we jump to the topic,
oh yeah,
I have one question for you. Do you think Disney is actually trying to leave the Star Wars movies and where they're only going to make movies once every 4 years or once every 3 years instead of how they were trying to do movies every year, because they've realized we're not bad at making movies, but we're really good at making a Star Wars TV show? Do you think that they're kind of looking at their formula and trying to change that up? Just curious on your thoughts about
Well, I do still think Disney Plus did a reorganization of their whole company, right? They're pretty much sort of transitioning to a direct to consumer platform, and which includes Disney Plus, Star, Hulu, FX, all that kind of stuff. So their focus right now is definitely going to be on television. I do still believe they are 100% committed to a theatrical business model for original movies and franchise movies. I just don't think that will happen again until 2023. And once 2023 happens, after all these shows are fully developed and most of them already live on air, I think we're going to start to see a bunch more announcements about new movies that are going to be coming out. And it was, but right now, yeah, I think they're taking a break. I think, Bob Iger, chairman of the board, said that it has to go on hiatus. I There's no money in TV shows, especially on a streaming platform, but having a long period of time where they just focus on that, it'll build up the hype because right now everyone's super excited. Everyone's thrilled
Yeah,
about all this content. And if they can keep that momentum up, whenever they announce the next trilogy, I'm not talking about Squadrons or Taika's film. When they announce the next trilogy, whether it's 10, 11, 12 episodes or it's just a whole new thing like a Ryan Johnson thing,
High
everyone's
Republic,
going to
Old
be
Republic.
so
I
pumped.
think that's what they're going to go with it.
I would love that. And I do think that is in the works. I just think they're keeping that real close to the chest and really going to work hard on it and make sure they got it ready before they make any announcements because they don't want to make the same mistakes they
And I
did.
think that's the reason for the High Republic TV show showing the downfall of it. That way they can kind of lead us into whatever that movie is going to be tying into that. I feel like it's going to be almost a prequel to whatever
You talking about the
Republic
Acolyte?
movie will. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what I'm really pumped about. But yeah, so that's all the major announcements for, in the gist. But let's transition into this new chapter of The Mandalorian, which was called The Believer. It is the penultimate. It's the one right before the finale. So I had different expectations going into this one. Real quick, I'll wrap it all up by saying this was my least favorite episode, not just of the season, but the entire series. I really disliked it. I thought the pacing was awful. This is the first time I've ever said this about a show, but this was a filler episode. I think it was awkward. I think there was too many characters with not enough to do. And all I have to do to break this down is I have a pros list and a cons list. And I'll start that first, but I want to hear what your first thoughts were on this episode.
It was definitely filler. I won't disagree with that. I don't think it was the worst episode, but I definitely wasn't a good episode. I feel like it was more supposed to be more of us seeing Din grow, but they did it in a too rapid and almost forced like fashion. Whereas like the pauses that they would give him, and I know that I'm already kind of going, but it's like the pause when he sees stormtroopers in the cargo vehicle, and he's like, "Okay, I have my idea," but it's like it was almost too long and awkward of a pause where it's like, "I'll do it," like, but it was like 30 seconds of silence from everybody, and he's sitting there scanning, and then thinks somebody starts talking. It's like, "No, oh, no, I'll do it." Like
And
it just
yeah,
forced.
that's part of the awkwardness I was talking about, and not just him, but I also felt that with Cara Dune, with Boba Fett, with Fennec. I felt it with Bill Bursk. Everyone, I felt completely awkward in this episode. If that was the point, congratulations, Rick Famuyiwa, you did your job. I don't think it was. Let me start off with telling you some pros because I don't want to just completely poo-doo on this episode, as Jar Jar would say. Um, I'll start off by saying we got to see the seismic detonators again from Boba Fett's ship, which everyone who remembers that scene in Attack of the Clones, it's probably everyone's one of their favorite scenes in that movie. That sound design and that got me. I loved seeing that. And in addition to like the whole Boba Fett ship thing, I think this is the first time we've ever seen the inside of Boba Fett's ship. Do you think?
Yep,
And
yep,
it
it
had
is,
like this
and
huge dome area. It was really cool. Oh, look, there it is.
because I was a one seater. I always thought the slave one was a one-seater, and I was always like, how are they all in there? And then all of a sudden today, or not today, but like in this episode, we got to see it. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, that's awesome.
and there's a lot of space in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'd only seen it inside the cockpit, like you were saying before, but that was really cool to see. Another pro I have is I actually really loved the character of Bill Burr. I don't know his name. Do you know what his character name is? While you look it up, Bill Burr. I thought he did great in this one. I thought there was character improvement. He showed a little bit of range in his acting. I liked his storyline through this. Again, there were some awkward moments. I'll get into that later, but I did really like him in this episode.
Yep.
Uh,
And they showed more of like who he was as a character, and then there was the regret of him serving with the Empire, rather than him just being a villain type character.
yeah, and the humaneness of him when he
Yep.
said handed his helmet back to Mando and was like, "I didn't see your face if anyone asks." I loved that. That really made me feel
Yeah.
good, and it showed a growth in him, and he wants to, I guess, do better as a person in this world. Another one I had was um, Mando having to remove his helmet to be able to access that database. While it was a little cheesy, they have to scan your face, and I don't know, it was just kind of off to me, but the fact that he had to do it because he wanted to save the kid and it didn't matter who saw his face, I thought it was a really good idea. And I think Pedro did well acting scared, paranoid, and giving off the impression that he had like 1,000 thoughts going through his head, because this is the first anyone
But
has seen him in over like maybe 20 years or something. And it's almost like
oh,
walking outside your house naked without any clothes. So I thought that
yeah,
was really a good idea. What was your thoughts on the face reveal in this one?
I wasn't a fan of it, to be honest with you. Um, you thought he was acting like that, and when you point out the way he was acting, maybe that's what he was supposed to be. But to me, it felt like he was lost. Like to me, it was like, and I do could see him feeling lost without his helmet. Um, but it just felt awkward to me, to be 100% honest with you. And then yeah, I found that the Empire's cybersecurity was piss poor. You're going
Yeah.
to tell me that you don't have the scans of every stormtrooper in your database, and then you're able to have this one random guy come in and get his face scan? It
Yeah,
just,
it was cheesy to me. Star Wars is
I was
supposed to
like,
be cheesy, but that was something else, you know?
that. That one just was like, I was like, shouldn't the alarm be going off because your face isn't being recognized?
But
My
yeah,
laptop can scan my face and decide if it's me or not.
right? But no, that whole scene with him without his mask on was awkward. And while I understand what they were going for, I don't think it was executed well. I think everything that I disliked about this episode goes in the hands of the director. From the technical side of things, I didn't like the camera's setups. I felt like they lingered too long at certain moments.
Yep.
Character blocking, it was awkward. It kind of felt like a rushed production. Maybe it was. I don't know. This one, and it's weird because Rick Famuyiwa was my favorite director of last season. I thought he was incredible. And I mean, everyone's got a bad day at the office, maybe this was his. But going into the cons, one of my problems with this episode was this is the second to last episode of this season before we got to wait a whole nother year. And it lacked that spectacle that I wanted. And I think it's because the previous two episodes were so grand and so large and addition to lore and all this kind of stuff and Jedis. And it really affected this one. And I think they should have planned it out better. Did you feel that way?
Um, I still think it had its purpose. It just wasn't. I do agree that the other two really made this one just. I think it felt worse because how the other two were. Um, because it did add some minor things to. No, it didn't really touch lore at all. Um, yeah, like when it comes to just Star Wars in general, it didn't do anything for it. But like, you can't tell me that it's almost like a train heist is what I felt like during that whole cargo scene. You can't tell me that scene wasn't enjoyable. Like, and then it really showed how much to me the whole thing developed Din more as a character. It showed how reliant he was on the armor, because when he's running stormtrooper armor and he randomly gets hit, he goes ow. Like, he didn't say ow, but it's like the armor cracked and it fell off, and he had a WTF moment. Like, he
Yeah.
definitely was like, what? Oh yeah, I'm wearing this armor now.
So it's not
And it
Beskar anymore.
exactly. And it's like it's I think it was just more of us seeing him grow as a character and kind of shed the shell that he's been in for the entire time. Because the statement he made to Moff Gideon at the end was all about him saying, I don't care what I have to do to get to you. The way is not the way. It's the way needs to be adapted. And we've been leading to that realization throughout this whole season. And that's really what I feel like this episode was tying that new thought process that Mando's supposed to be learning, tying that into a bow before we see what happens in this next episode. Because again, I feel like this next episode is gonna be a longer episode. Not the hour and 20 like I was hoping the Ahsoka to be, but like I'm expecting a 50-minute episode next Friday. And I do believe Bo-Katan to be back in it, because it doesn't make sense, because Bo-Katan's after um, Moff Gideon and the Darksaber. And why wouldn't you just tie all this back together, since I know that Mando kind of assumes that's who they're after, but not 100%.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like he's trying to tie that bow on it, where he's going to remove his helmet in front of Bo-Katan the next time he sees her. And I
Yeah.
really think that this is where it's getting to. I think this was just a huge episode for character development, if you look like the way that I look at it.
Speaking about character development, I want to read a little something that my girlfriend sent me. This is not um, my thoughts. This is actually from a user of Reddit that goes by Jay Bitson. This was on the Mandalorian TV subreddit. So this says, watch carefully and you'll notice that Pedro never uses his peripheral vision when he cares about what he's looking at. In the moment, it would be normal for his head to face a little to the left, but he's looking at Bill straight on, just as he would in the helmet. Bill looks back at him and doesn't keep his head straight the same way, so you can compare it to the immediate next cut, the way Bill is looking at him while facing a little to the right. That's normal. A moment before, he's looking at the table while the officer talks and looks straight at Bill, most off camera. As far as I can tell, Pedro Pascal stays in character through the whole sequence, almost as if he is still wearing the helmet. And I thought that was an interesting point of view, because I didn't notice that first time I watched it, and then I looked at it again, and it's interesting. He still
And
moves his head around, kind of like Batman, and because he's so used to that.
yeah,
And I
and
love that.
it
I
makes
do
a lot
love that.
and it makes a lot of sense, because one of the first things that Bill said while they were in the cargo was, I can't wear this helmet. I don't know how y'all seen this. You have no peripheral.
Yeah.
And we're probably trying to hint to watch for that. And I didn't know to look for it.
Yeah. I mean,
But it,
yeah, there guys, whoever's listening, this was a good episode. Don't take what I'm saying as like, this is the worst thing ever. A part of There's some great things in this. I just didn't get to see it, I guess. I think part of the reason my disappointment is so high in this episode is because up until the first one, this was the only one I got to watch with my girlfriend again, and I was kind of hoping to experience something on the level of the Jedi or the tragedy, to share that moment with her, and it was kind of lackluster, and that probably affected me a little bit because I wanted us to experience this really big story together. But there is good things in this episode. Don't get me wrong.
did you not get excited by seeing Boba's armor touched up?
I was like, what? When did you have time to do that? Like, it seems like it takes place immediately after the last episode. And I'm like, where? It looks like you had to go get new pieces of like Beskar and stuff. Like, where did you find the time?
Spray paint. You just set your ship to autopilot, grab some touch-up paint.
I saw someone on Twitter being like, they were so a lot of people were upset because they had just finished making their like beat up Boba Fett armor, and then to find out that it's now clean. So they got to go back and redo another one. I don't know. I did like seeing it really crisp and clean, but at the same time, I was like, how? When do you have time? You're flying the ship and like taking all these errands and stuff. I don't know.
But
Oh,
part of me almost felt like because it also fit him better. I don't know if you noticed that as well. Because last episode, the armor like it wasn't as bad as the guy. I can never think of the actor's name, but the marshals.
Timothy
It
Oliphant.
never looked. What was that?
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, like the armor did fit him very awkwardly. But then last episode, I don't know if you noticed, um, Boba gained a little bit of weight since the last time he wore the armor.
Don't fat
And
shame Boba Fett.
I'm
I
not
mean
fat
Boba
shaming.
Fett.
I'm like, and it fit him a little bit awkwardly. But if you notice this episode, it's almost like they used the original armor from Empire Strikes Back last episode, and then they're like, okay, we need to custom fit this
Yeah,
because it fit.
there did seem like there was extra pieces on this one too. Like,
The hose was back that connected. I don't think the hose was. No, it was there, but it just seemed the armor seemed completely different. Where it was like
yeah.
it really felt like this was the original Empire Strikes Back. We found this in the back of the closet, and here's the new armor for what we've been planning on using. That's what it felt like. Like on set, I feel like it's like, man, bring out the new stuff.
Right. Another another thing I want to mention from this episode, which I thought was kind of funny, was did you ever see Office Space
Yeah,
movie? When Bill Burr mentions the TPS reports in this episode, he's like, "Oh, we got to go back and fill out this TPS reports," just like from Office Space. I thought that was kind of a fun reference that was thrown in there. But I do want to go back to what you were saying about the ending hollow message sent to Moff Gideon. I liked it because it was it was rephrasing what Moff Gideon had said to him towards the end of season 1.
yeah,
But at the same time, I like the message. I did not like Moff Gideon's reaction. He went from being intimidating and badass to me to being completely scared and terrified. And I was like, that's so out of character for him. He's supposed to be the bad guy. Why is he scared of a message? He's been like so confident this whole time, and he gets one hollow message and he starts freaking out. That was a little
yeah.
weird to me. Do you feel
I
that way?
completely agree with that. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that because it was, as you said, it was supposed to be like he's been the
I mean,
main villain
look
the
at that
entire time.
face. He's normally deadpan and he doesn't really
Yeah,
emote until this episode. And it was so off character for
and
me.
it didn't bother me too much, but it was still one of those things of like, how can you go from toying with Grogu to his face and saying you could poke your eye out, which I think he's going to poke his eye out. I think he's going to lose an eye next episode. Um, like it's going to be the Christmas story. Right before Christmas, he's got to lose an eye. But it's just I completely agree. Where it was just like, how do you go from this intimidating figure to and basically toying with the baby to a hollow going,
Yeah, it was a little weird. I mean, overall, I do want to close out with by just giving my overall thoughts. There was some good things in it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the other episodes. I do still think it's a filler episode because I do believe, we haven't seen the next episode yet, but I think you could probably skip this episode and be okay going into the last one. At least that's what it feels like in this moment.
I think there will be a small callback to this one, but I think if you were to skip this episode, you would like again. I really do think Bo-Katan's gonna be the next one, and the helmet's gonna be removed. I think it's gonna be whoa, whoa, whoa. How is he okay with this all of a sudden? And I really think that his
Yeah.
character development is what is the key to this episode. Nothing else. It's only the character development that makes this episode something more than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do want to ask one more thing. I'll now leave this thought with everybody else because this is the most important question about this episode. Can The Mandalorian last as a show without Grogu? because it
No.
was a little weird not having little baby Yoda in this episode.
And I think the answer is no. I think you have to have Grogu there, otherwise there's no show. And I really do think that I wouldn't be surprised if next season's the last season, because I don't know if you know, they announced that the next season will premiere on Christmas Day next year. Don't know if you saw that announcement.
No, I didn't see that. I think it's season 3 is the last one because when they announced the green light, they only announced a season 3 green light as well. But I didn't know it's coming out on
Yeah,
Christmas. That's kind of cool. Oh, so we got to wait even longer, dude. That's kind of crazy.
yeah.
But
You're
yeah,
in a
I say what?
a year and a week from the final episode.
Oh, I know, yeah. But so like, yeah, I don't know. It was a little weird that Grogu wasn't in it, and it's not just for Star Wars fans. Star Wars fans will always watch a Star Wars TV show, even if it's bad, especially if you're a podcaster reviewing it. But I think they're gonna lose a lot of people if they lose that thing that makes Star Wars special. And it's not just
Yep.
Baby Yoda, but Baby Yoda has the Force. I think the Force is what everyone wants to see, whether they subliminally acknowledge it or not. But I got a message from my mom, and I was asking her, I was like, "What'd you think of Mandalorian?" And she was like, "Oh, your brother told me that Baby Yoda wasn't in it, so I didn't even watch it." And that's just from general public. General public's not
Yeah.
interested in deep Star
And,
Wars lore.
and that's awful, but at the same time, it makes perfect sense. You
It
can't even.
does. It does. When you keep them in there, you got a little something for everybody. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any last thoughts about this episode before we close out?
Not off the top of my head.
Cool. Well, tell everyone about your channel again and where they can find you.
So my channel is Four-Legged Gamer. I've updated my Twitter to be Four-Legged Gamer as well, one word and the number 4. And again, just basically cute dogs, unboxing. You get a few barks in this upcoming episode. Basically them demanding them to for me to open the PlayStation 5 faster.
So yeah, guys, go check out his channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, etc. Go check out other episodes of Han Talks first. This Wednesday, we have a podcast episode coming out all about the new Disney announcements and also a little tribute to Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm. So please go check that out. New videos on the YouTube every single week. Please go subscribe and like. I will leave some links below so you can go check it out. Thank you guys so much for listening. Somehow, some way, somewhere this week. May the Force be with you.